Hello, hello, it's Memento, and welcome to my review of Little Sim World. I'm having quite the cozy morning. I have my morning coffee, and I'm super excited to get into telling you about this game because it has been living rent-free in my head since I found out about its existence, and I can't wait to tell you my experience playing my first 6 hours of the game and finishing the intro of the main story quest. That should tell you enough that there's a lot to cover here. So, Little Sim World has some little messes, but some big potential. I've been anticipating the release of Little Sim World ever since I first heard about the game a few months ago. It's cute, it's cozy, and everything pointed to being a perfect blend of The Sims, Animal Crossing, and Stardew Valley. Now that I'm about 6 hours in, though, I think some aspects have lived up to that while others have slightly missed the mark. And I want to talk about those wins as well as those misses in the hopes that it can give you guys a comprehensive review and also give some feedback for the game. So allow me to take you through my experience playing Little Sim World. I want to go from what I love to what I thought needs some improvements to what I think was just a miss. Because honestly, I think this game has a lot of potential and just needs clarity. So speaking of clarity, there's one thing that I want to request of this game above all else, and that's a roadmap. I, maybe unpopular opinion, I like early access releases because they allow people to play the game sooner, they offer a discounted price, and most games do release in a relatively polished state, just maybe lacking some content. So the content we have is really polished, but more is coming. But I think one of the most important things when you're going to release early access is having a roadmap. Right now, I feel as though I'm stuck in limbo. The game is in early access, but I have no idea what's coming to Little Sim World. So certain areas I feel need improvement could be getting it in future updates, but on the flip side, that could also be the finished state of the game. Without a roadmap, I have no way of telling which is which, and that can impact my desire to pick up a game. So please, please, please get a roadmap out there so people can know what's coming and what you guys have in store for the future of the game. Like I said, there's so many cool things in Little Sim World, but without knowing what's coming, I think a lot of people might skip your early access, and that's valuable feedback that you could have. For example, say that down the line you're going to be able to garden, and a lot of people want that. I think there is gardening in the game. I haven't gotten there yet, and we will talk about why. Say down the line you're going to be able to garden, and someone's like, wow, that's really cool. I would love a sustainability, especially with all the impact on recycling. I would love to grow my own food. But so far, it doesn't seem like you can do any of that. Having a roadmap to tell someone that could really help. It's not the best analogy, but it works. Or even just saying you're going to be able to travel to a second location. We have the boat down at the wharf. Like, what if there's an island you can eventually go to? Cough, cough. Stardew Valley. I know that wasn't planned, but yeah, all sorts of things where it's like, hey, Little Sim World might feel really tiny, but it's actually going to expand as time goes on. We're focusing on the core gameplay in this place. And then there might be a couple places that you can choose to visit. You can go to this island. Maybe there's going to be like a city section. I know the subway right now, or the tube, is used if you're doing co-op, but still. Okay, now that my little rant is finished, let's get to the good stuff. The first thing I notice about any game is music and overall sound design. I am a music teacher. I've studied music for pretty much my entire life, it feels like, so music's kind of important to me. And Little Sim World has a darling little soundtrack, and I think overall the sound design is really nice. I don't mind the sound effects. I don't find them to be too intrusive, especially after turning their volume down. Really, there are just two suggestions I have right now. So first I'll talk about the soundtrack. I love the music, and I found it sets the tone of the game really well. Oh goodness, the song you listen to when you first start the game makes me think of Persona, but like in a very good way. It just was reminiscent of it. I really noticed that last night when I was playing. I did find that the music you listen to throughout the game gets a little repetitive. So there's no loading screens, everything is in one scene, which is one of the things that the game advertises. And that means the music is in a playlist of sorts. And we've seen that in other games, namely like Cottonville. If your soundtrack isn't big enough, that means in the 3 in-game weeks that I've been playing, I've heard those same songs over and over again. It's good music. I just got a little tired of it, and I would highly suggest adding just some more songs, and I think that's going to make a big difference. I'm noticing a little bit of a difference with like different events and everything, and just taking it one step further, music is a way that you can really immerse people in the game, and having a good soundtrack, I think, can literally make or break a game because it's going to give you your first impression. Editing memento here. One place that you easily could have done this was during the Bunny Day Festival. This would have been a perfect opportunity for at least day 1 of the festival to have a unique soundtrack added to the game. So let me talk about the sound design really quickly. So I think the sound effects fit nicely and the ambiance is really good. The only thing that's been bothering me is the voices. Some of the characters are voiced, speaking in something reminiscent of Simlish, while others aren't. And this appears to be completely random so far. While I'm sure all the characters will be voiced in full release, it did bother me to not know if a character would speak to me or not. Even if the team just used their own voices as placeholders, I think that would be better. It's just a bit jarring that most characters don't seem to speak, but then some of them randomly are, and it kind of throws me off. I do like how they did try, I think they worked really hard though to get those voices to match the characters, and I think they did a really good job. I would just prefer either you voice them all or you don't have any until you have all of them.
Hilborinu Ponjembana. Bojidon. What be?
Mahadi. Sorry. Maharbon. Mahadi.
Dalimaru. Monica. Shudan. Ula. Barati. Onya. Womp.
Yezablu idagabo. Hehe. Hehe.
Overall though, I really do think they did a great job with the music and the sound design. I know I'm being a little picky, but music really is my specialty, so I take great pride in it, and I do think that music and sound design are one of the easiest ways to take a game to the next level because it really does highly impact our immersion. Next, I want to take a brief look at the accessibility. I think Little SimWorld is doing amazing with the accessibility features. I liked how I could remap controls to make them easier for me, enlarge my cursor, and there was so much more. Honestly, I was really impressed with how much they already had, and I can't think of anything else to add, but if anyone has any suggestions, I would love to hear them. I know that's pretty brief, but honestly, it looked really good to me. So let me move on to mechanics next. This is just the basic movements for the game and not meant to be about the core gameplay loop, which I'll cover next. The overall mechanics of the game are simple, and many of them are things we've seen before in other life sim games. Most of it I don't have much to say on. Your little has various bars. You can see them in the bottom. They're going to show up here. You can see them in the bottom left of the screen, and basically your job is to keep those bars full. You'll want them to be green. This is done through meeting basic needs such as eating, drinking, sleeping, staying clean. I like the creativity of needing to wash your clothes, but there have been a few kinks with the system too. The first one I really want to talk about is drinking. I swear, drinking water, I know some people struggle to drink water in real life, but I don't want to struggle in a game too. It feels like I can spend an hour drinking when that bar gets too low. I think it just needs some minor adjusting to make it feel a little more realistic. I like drinking maybe I haven't experimented with it enough, but drinking water from the tap takes me like 2 hours to fill the bar, but drinking a water bottle, while costly, doesn't fill it enough for me to be like, ah, yes, this is worthwhile. So I think just balancing it to make it take a little less time. Also, that fun meter is so troublesome. My little has no hobbies, so she doesn't find anything fun except things like surfing the internet or watching TV. And while I get it, because girls same, I need to go out of my way to do things like that fill my fun meter. And I had kind of expected the littles to take interest in something or even have randomized interests. So like I really enjoy dumpster diving in this game. So I thought eventually, I am now level 10 dumpster diving because I have a problem. I thought that my little would take an interest in that too. And even though I'd get stinky, it would be deemed as something fun. But it doesn't. It doesn't fill my fun meter. That's not the most egregious though. So my little doesn't like to write, which is ironic considering I wrote the script for this and I found it obscenely fun, but hey, that's me. I'm fine with her not liking writing, but I had to do a quest that had me doing a ton of writing and it got painful. My fun meter kept going so low, my little was bored with it, and it just got very frustrating, and I just want something to be considered fun to my little that isn't designated fun activities. Although I do have a very fun update. So my footage is going to show me losing fun as I do these hobbies, although my footage is going to show me losing fun as I do each of these given things, there's actually been an update, and it makes it so that you gain pretty small amounts of fun from things deemed as hobby activities. This is fantastic to see, and I believe it shows the developers are really listening to feedback from the community, and I hope that we can see more positive changes like this throughout early access. So although I had a really rough time with the fun meter, it has already been improved so that when I have to write a book, I'm not suffering. And I think that's really cool, and I got to see that for myself last night. I was playing some offline. I didn't record that footage or anything, but I can say for certain I wrote a book and I gained fun. Another core mechanic of the game is crafting, but I didn't find the crafting to be rewarding for a couple reasons. I think it's just in general unclear whether I need to primarily buy materials or find them. The game instructions led me to believe I would be finding them more than I seemed to. They were like, oh, you're going to collect this stuff throughout the world, and I just really haven't. But my other problem is you have to keep these things on you in order to use them, and the backpack is small. It can be a bit inconvenient in my opinion. I feel like it would be better if you could instead have them as a universal resource, able to access anytime you need them instead of having to worry about carrying them or storing them, because storage has been a major issue for me. I think due to my not enjoying the crafting system, so I don't want to craft storage, and it's a never-ending cycle. So I kind of want it sort of similar to how in The Sims you have an infinite inventory, but just for crafting materials. If I could just always have access to my crafting materials, I think that would be a smoother gameplay loop when it comes to crafting, and I would feel more inclined to do more crafting if I didn't have to like constantly empty out my backpack in order to put the materials I need in. So with all of that being said, I will now touch on the core gameplay loop. So here's what you do in an average day in Little London. You wake up, you eat and drink, go about whatever strikes your fancy or your quest for the day, get back home and fill any needs you need to, and go to bed once you get too exhausted to stay awake any longer, and you can choose whether you want to sleep until your bar is full, take a nap, or sleep until the set time of, I believe, 6:40. It's a super simple loop, but I enjoy it. I like it. At the end of the day, this is meant to be a life sim, so of course you have to do basic life sim tasks. If you have to do it IRL, you probably have to do it in the game, and I think that's one of the things that makes it a life sim game. That's one of the things that actually makes this so calming and soothing to play. And one of the things I really enjoyed about the core gameplay loop is washing your clothes. Didn't expect to, because I hate doing laundry in real life. But there's something so novel about doing it in Little Sim World. Plus, I can do it overnight, so it's not really causing me strife like my day-to-day laundry, where I can't run it while I'm sleeping because I have to put the clothes in the dryer. Like, no, it's a washer-dryer combo, and I think that's the best thing ever. Make that real. But I do think it's a nice touch, and I haven't seen that in other life sim games. It also gives me a reason to change my clothes. In many life sim games, I wear the same outfit ad infinitum. And in this one, I was wearing different things every day because if I didn't do my laundry overnight, I had to do it during the day. I had to find new clothes to wear. So now that I've taken such a long time on mechanics, I can finally move on to the characters. And this is a place I've seen a lot of opinions, and I've noticed a shift in the first 6 hours I've played, so I want to talk about it. A lot of people have talked about the world feeling empty, and while I agree, I actually want to bring up, like I said, that in the 3 sessions I played the game, so I played the game for an in-game week each time I booted it up, there were changes being made each and every time. So, the first time I played the game, I immediately discovered dumpster diving and decided that it was my personal favorite hobby, and no one cared. None of the NPCs cared. Like the people you can't talk to on the sidewalk. No one cared. I noticed by the 3rd session, people actually cared. They would actually get little thought bubbles above their head that were like, ooh, stinky. And I thought that was really cool that they were reacting to me. I think they've added a decent amount of, like, nameless, anonymous people walking around the world. So I do like that I see a whole bunch of people, but I'm going to cover more about the characters you interact with later. So, like I said, that's something minor. I said it earlier with the fun bar. It shows the devs are listening and trying to change things that they get feedback on. And this is huge and gives me so much hope for this game because I found myself wanting to play this game. So to see these positive changes makes me want to play it more. So, enough about the NPCs you can't talk to. Let's talk about the ones you can. I really like most of them. And as with any game like this, not every character is going to be my cup of tea. And honestly, aside from Nanako being a little too over the top, I like most of the characters. I do lament the fact that Hana is a girl, but that's a me problem and I respect it. Because I really saw Hana and was like, oh my gosh, you're a beautiful, sweet, kind, and gentle boy. And then I was crushed. Just let me choose, devs. I really want Hana to be a boy. I want to romance male Hana. No one agrees with me, and I'm okay with that. I do think the characters sometimes go a little too hard into stereotypes, and they don't have to be as over the top as they are, but most of the time this really doesn't appear to be an issue. Personally, I like some of the over the top nature. I think it's like kind of comedic. I think it's fun. And honestly, you don't actually see that much. We go for so much realism nowadays that, I mean, we don't see that over the top. But one thing I do wish for is that we could talk to them outside of their shops. So the characters all run on a schedule. But that schedule is work and home. I noticed that the librarian actually does leave the library and walk into a house. While I can enter that house, there is nothing there, and I cannot talk to her the second she leaves the library. I think it would be nice if on their off days, we could find them in the world at a hobby they enjoy. I think it would bring a little more life and personality to each of the characters, and I also hope that eventually we can see what their homes look like, and these are just simple ways for the player to get to know the characters and their personalities. Because I do understand that with how Little SimWorld works, I think it would be hard for you to have a daily schedule for these characters like you do in things like Stardew Valley, especially since every single character that you can get to know runs a shop. There are no NPCs, like all the NPCs are people running shops and they need to be there. I believe each one of them works at least 5 days a week, some of them doing 7 days a week, so I do understand that that would be complicated, but give them their 2 days a week off and have them go out into the world, and I think that would add a lot of personality. Again, with a roadmap. All this could be coming, and I just don't know yet. Next, I want to touch on the story and the quest lines. The main story took me 6 hours to complete. And here's the reason why. When I would unlock side quests, the quest tracker would automatically go to my side quests. And I'm guilty of not scrolling through my quests very often because I have a one-track mind. I see quest, I do quest. There were exceptions to this. When I got the fishing one, I just didn't feel like doing it, so I went bloop and got back on the main quest. And when I got the Easter one, I was like, hee hee hee, I want to go participate in Bunny Day. But in general, when I got the reading and writing quest, I did not realize it was not part of the main quest, and that caused me a problem. So carrying on. This isn't a bad thing, except those side quests take a long time. I mentioned the reading and writing quest. I spent several days doing this, where I could have instead gotten through the main quest, which I do feel like that intro quest is only meant to take you a few days. It's very easy to complete. I really liked the main story. What happens at the end, I'll put the spoilers for that at the end of this video, is really cute. But this was definitely meant to be completed in week 1, maybe beginning of week 2, not week 3. The end of week 3. This was not even beginning of week 3. It took me 3 weeks. I get sidetracked easily. An easy solution is auto-track the main quest, because the only reason I did those side quests was because I thought they were part of it, and I didn't really scroll through my quests, like I said, except for the Easter event, and because I didn't feel like fishing. I think it's a simple fix, but will definitely keep the story moving, and not make me feel like I need to torment my little by making her write a book when she apparently hates writing. I do look forward to what comes next, though, since the university appears to be a focal point of the story, and thus far I've had no access to it. And really, the story itself is compelling. I'm happy living my cozy life there, but when I want the spice, I can get it. I think there's a good mix, and it does appear to be well thought out. I think they went a little... Looking at the Steam page, there appears to be way more story to this than I thought there would be. I thought this was purely like life sim with some fun stuff along the way, so it was a more customizable experience. It does appear that this game is driven by story, which I do think is okay. I think that's not going to be it for everyone, but I personally do not mind it. And with the university being a focal point, I just wish I'd completed the main prologue quest a little sooner. So with all of that, with my long-winded rant, what are my overall thoughts about Little SimWorld? At times, it might have sounded like I'm tearing it apart, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was so cozy. I enjoyed the life sim elements, and I felt content. And aside from wanting to do more quests, I don't feel inclined to move too fast through it. Instead, enjoying the simplicity of my life as my little, who I'm dressed up as today. It's not a fast-paced game, and I don't think I would want it to be. I don't care if it takes me in-game years to complete what's happening. There don't appear to be any time limits. I don't want there to be any time limits. I want the simplicity with a story that it appears to be offering. And honestly, my biggest takeaway is to put up a roadmap. I've said it multiple times throughout this video. Let us know what's coming in the future, because the foundation is so strong and people love to keep up and people love to keep up with what's happening in the game. It allows us to know what to look out for and also what is already completed. Little Sim World is a delight to play, and the world itself has a beautiful foundation for it that will carry it as more is added. I'll definitely be continuing to play it as it's been so relaxing, especially on my busiest days as I finish out the year as a teacher. It's nice to come home and enjoy the simplicity of this game. Like I said, I've seen so many positive updates happening already, and I just want to keep seeing more. I really loved Little Sim World. I really want to see more from this game, and I hope that this has been an informative video for you guys as well, so that you know if you want to pick up Little Sim World and take your little to Little London and see what's in store for you there. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I want to do another one of these when it's out in full release. I would love to compare contrast and be like, here's how it was in the beginning and here's where we got to, and just, there's a lot of promise here. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave a nice little comment, and maybe even subscribe so that you can know every time I upload a video. Have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. And don't forget to drink your coffee or tea if you need it. Ready, steady, bye!